In this pod, we'll look at the impact of the Second World War upon the citizens of Germany.
Until 1941, the German population suffered very little from the Second World War. Rationing had been introduced, but for some, this resulted in an improved diet. Industrialists gained from an increase in the volume of work. Those opposed to the Treaty of Versailles were pleased to be seeing it overthrown. The German population were also encouraged by propaganda campaigns, which displayed Germany's military strength and its vast territorial gains. In fact, by 1941, Adolf Hitler was at the height of his popularity.
However, military success began to decline when Germany invaded Russia in 1941. The German defeat in Stalingrad dramatically changed the situation on the home front. The defeat came as a shock to the German people. Years of propaganda and the news of territorial gains led many people to believe the German campaign was able to secure victory. The defeat brought full mobilization of the home front as Germany entered total war. This meant all aspects of the economy and society contributing to the war effort.
The declaration of total war had a direct impact on German civilian life. Leisure time activities virtually ceased to exist. Magazines stopped being published, and professional sport was banned. Civilian access to food became even more limited as rationing was increased. By 1945, it was only possible to purchase 250 grams of meat a week per person. In order to support the civilian population during this period, exchange centres were opened, where people could swap furniture and clothes.
British air raids were launched and became common occurrences in Germany from 1942. Major cities were repeatedly targeted, and civilians were often the victims. In Dresden, during February 1943, 70% of the city's buildings were destroyed. There were huge levels of civilian deaths. On the 27th of July 1943, 45,000 people in Hamburg were killed during an air raid. It's estimated that as many as 800,000 civilians were killed during Allied bombing raids.
Many German citizens, similar to those in Britain, left cities for the countryside as a means of protection. It became harder for the Nazis to control the general attitude towards the war and the party. The German population saw they were losing, and Nazi support rapidly declined. This was evidenced in 1945, when Soviet troops marched into Germany and met little resistance.
As the number of casualties rose and the need for greater economic output increased, civilian life was again affected. Women who had previously been discouraged from working were forced to enter employment. In 1943, women aged between 17 and 45 without young children were mobilized. Many tried to avoid the call, wanting to escape dangerous factory work.
From 1943, the Nazi regime lost its appeal, as many struggled to survive on the home front.